happy to report that that debt has been reduced drastically. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, we complain about cocoa sector rose alone, having a debt of 21 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, you recall that we complained that we owed the international financial institutions cocoa of 333,000 metric tons that we couldn't pay for. They had to be rolled over. Now production has increased from the under 500,000 metric tons that we witnessed last year to at least 603,000 metric tons. Mr. Speaker, this is so significant because it's been able to allow us to pay that debt by contributing 243,000 metric tons of cocoa. We just have about 90,000 metric tons to go. And Mr. Speaker, with the current projection levels and production levels that are ongoing, I'm convinced that we'll be able to make up the production quantities and be able to pay our debts and raise some more additional income. Mr. Speaker, some of the programs that have been budgeted for in the 2026 budget that is so important and that we must encourage as part of the reasons why we should support the passage of this budget is that we have free cocoa spraying that is coming up and will cost us about 2.4 billion Ghana cedis. At the same time, free fertilizer is back for the cocoa subsector. Mr. Speaker, when you have this, it means that the cost of production of the cocoa per unit area for the farmer is going to be less. Once it is less, more growth will come into the economy and the farmer is likely to reap more gains. And so, Mr. Speaker, this is something we must support. Mr. Speaker, if you look at paragraph 296, the budget actually tells us that we are going to have an additional 200,000 hectares of cocoa under cultivation. Mr. Speaker, this is a highly decisive step. This is a highly decisive strategic policy, and I think that we must support this and make sure this gives us security, because now you are not going to depend on only individual farmers with their 3 acres, 10 acres, but you have a 200,000 hectare security of cocoa farms that you can project. You can project in real time how much cocoa beans you'll be able to harvest and sell to the international market. Mr. Speaker, complementing this is oil palm. That is referred to as the red gold. Mr. Speaker, the oil palm sector is also another productive sector that is complementing the cocoa. And if you can have these growing in the ways that we envisage, where we are going to have in paragraph 933, it refers to that we are going to have about 100,000 additional hectares of new oil palm plantations. Mr. Speaker, this is clearly investing in productive sectors whose value chains is going to translate into a number of jobs for our people. Mr. Speaker, government is deliberate about this. There's a budget of $500 million that is going to be rolled over 4 years to be able to handle the production of this sector in a way that we can eventually be competitive with other countries such as Malaysia. Mr. Speaker, complementing this is also rubber. Rubber Ghana at the moment, we have about 178,000 metric tons capacity. But the only raw rubber that we get in the country is just about 100,000 metric tons. And so government have again been decisive in projecting a policy of restricting the exportation of raw rubber. Now, if we restrict the exportation of raw rubber, complementing with additional production capacity of the rubber subsector, it means that we'll be able to process this rubber in country. And we can achieve processing rubber in country, that would likely, in fact, that would definitely throw a lot of jobs along the value chain. And so I see these three crops, cocoa, the oil palm, and also rubber, as strategic, and I am very excited that this budget has deliberately handled these and then allocated a lot of financing budgets to it. Mr. Speaker, I call on all of us to even consider taking some plantations in these oil palm fields. Mr. Speaker, the other complementing one is the Feed Ghana program. Mr. Speaker, will realize that the food price inflation has come down. This year, we are recording 8% food price inflation. Mr. Speaker, that tells you that the rate at which food prices had been increasing that we witnessed in the past is actually slowed down. And that means that many more families are able to afford food. And so, Mr. Speaker, you cannot underrate this. At the same time, the 2026 budget is adding additional measures that will encourage and consolidate this. One of them is that all institutions that are going to be government subvented will need to buy food that are made in Ghana. It means that all these production levels are going to find markets in these institutions that we are talking about. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the National Food Buffer Stock has found expression in our budget. And actually, there's money allocated to buffer stock to be able to execute their mandate, which is to mop up excess food that is produced at the farm gate, store it, and bring it back to the market in a way, in a logistical arrangement that will make sure food prices do not exceed a certain limit. Mr. Speaker, if we can do this, again complementing with the Nkukor Kitinkiti program, where we are going to have poultry for every district up to 10,000 birds and more in coming years, meaning that these Nkukor Kitinkiti will need to feed from the maize and soya that farmers produce. And so very soon, that issue of glut in the market will be a thing of the past. Mr. Speaker, an additional aspect that we need to talk about is irrigation for wealth. Mr. Speaker, would realize that all of us are experiencing the vagaries of climate change. We don't know when the next rain is coming, and so farmers are really unable to predict how their production cycles are going to run. And so the Irrigation for Wealth Creation is a well-thought program, which is a very direct intervention that will help our farmers maintain, in fact, take care of the risks of the rainfall patterns that they cannot predict. Mr. Speaker, I realize that there's a huge budget of solar boreholes that are going to be created, that are going to be sunk as part of the Irrigation for Wealth Creation. And Mr. Speaker, I see this as a deliberate response to some of the challenges we are facing in the agricultural subsector. Mr. Speaker, complementing all these is the big push road projects that are ongoing on. This is going to support drastically the logistics of carting food from production centers to market centers or consumption centers. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, the government is complementing this with an additional 1,000-kilometer roads that will be directed at farm producing areas and farming areas. Mr. Speaker, these roads will do a lot in reducing costs of food production, costs of selling food, costs of sending these foods to areas that are needed they are needed for consumption. And so, Mr. Speaker, if you look at these gamut of projects, amongst others, you will be convinced that government has thought through these projects very carefully and strategically and invested the needed resources that will help us grow the sector in the ways that we want. Mr. Speaker, allow me to make a further comment on the fisheries subsector. Mr. Speaker, would remember that recently we just passed the new Fisheries Act, which is Act 1146, 2025. Mr. Speaker, this law is being given expression to in the new budget and economic policy. Mr. Speaker, IUU fishing is something that will be a thing of the past because there's adequate provision for us to fight IUU, and the law buttresses and backs us as well. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, there's a huge conversation around aquaculture in the law and also in the economic policy. And so, Mr. Speaker, this sector is linked very conveniently with the 24-hour economic policy of government, where women and youth employment are emphasized. So there will be aquaculture for women and youth, and there's a huge budget outlay for that. Mr. Speaker, that means that a lot of our youth in the coastal belt and fishing communities will be taken care of adequately under this project. And Mr. Speaker, we should support this. At the same time, fishing inputs, fishing market constructions have also been budgeted for. And so, Mr. Speaker, even with these three interventions, you see that they've been deliberately thought through, they've been consciously provided for, and they are things that will help the growth of the economies of those local areas, at the same time create the jobs that we need for these local areas. Mr. Speaker, allow me to further conclude by submitting to you that one significant thing that is happening is that the production levels that we have found increased in this country are not out of an accident. It is something that has been deliberate, and so what we are going to do, and that's what the 2026 budget comes to solve, is that it's going to make sure that we pay attention to value addition of the produce that we generate in the country. Mr. Speaker, I'm very confident that by close of year 2026, every one of us will have been satisfied that we don't have food security challenges anymore, and that we are on the path of growth, and that agriculture is truly contributing to the growth of the economy. I thank you for the opportunity, and I call on this House to endorse the statement. Thank you.
Honourable members, we now proceed to give the floor to Honourable Osei Kennedy Nyako. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, already we are tired, so I don't intend to keep members sitting for long. Though you have given me 15 minutes, I've been sitting here. Yes, so Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to make a few comments on the budget statement and the economic policy that was presented to this House on behalf of the President by the Finance Minister. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through the budget trying to find out what are exactly the government policies when it comes to the road and the transport sector. And it will surprise you that I couldn't find any. There is none. All that you see in the budget is the big push, big push, big push, and the rehash of their own manifesto promises. Mr. Speaker, the occasion of presenting a budget in this House is a very critical moment for members of Parliament, because this exercise gives us the opportunity to critique and scrutinize the various documents or allocations that have been made to this House. Mr. Speaker, no wonder that if you look at the 2025 budget, if you go through government performance when it comes to infrastructure, it's nothing to write home about as compared to even 2024, when the government, then the previous administration, was described as a government that has criminally managed the economy. Mr. Speaker, I hold in my hands, this is just a document that contains in the budget statement that was presented to this House. Appendix 1C. You can find it on page 151. The budget document that you are holding. The budget document you are holding. Go through it. Mr. Speaker, if you read paragraph 2.05, which is under the industry, it's under the industry. If you want to know how a country, the economy has performed, you talk about the industry, which has the manufacturing, the construction, which basically normally talks about the infrastructure development of this country. If you read, you will see that under 2024, in terms of contributions of infrastructure development to our GDP growth, it was 9.6. Sadly, in 2025, it declined to 2.9. And I was expecting that now that government is putting more money, government says that under the big push, is going to spend over 51 billion Ghana cedi in the next 3 to 4 years. I was expecting that we will see some kind of improvement or growth in this sector. But, Mr. Speaker, even when you go to 2027, even that one, they are doing 5.2. So, if you are to juxtapose it to the performance in 2024, that even they were saying that the Akufo-Addo government was not doing much. We did 9.2, 9.6 growth. It tells you how committed the government was, how the Akufo-Addo government invested into the infrastructure of this country. Mr. Speaker, today they said inject 30 billion into the big push, and out of this 30 billion, 70% will go into road construction, the road infrastructure, which is about 21 billion. Mr. Speaker, the question is, even in 2025, when they promised that 13.8, out of the 13.8, they were going to invest 70% of it, which is about 9.6 billion. I have in my hands here a document signed by the finance minister. This is the authorization, commencement authorization, that has given total of how much they are going to spend under the big push for the next 4 years. All the projects, about 32 projects that the government want to invest in, make investment, is here, and it's about 51 billion. So if they have given breakdown, they said the first year, which is 2025, they are going to commit, they are given a commencement certificate of 7.6. Meanwhile, in the 2025 budget, the government is telling us that it's going to spend 70% of the 13.8, which is 9.0. So the question is, where is the 2 billion extra? You promised the people you want to invest this much, and now you are telling us that you can only invest 7.6. So does it mean you lied to the Ghanaian people? You deceived them? When in your own budget.
Honorable member, withdraw the word lie.
I'm guided, Mr. Speaker.
I'm asking you to withdraw.
I've withdrawn, I'm guided. So you cannot deceive the people. You can't say one thing and deliver the other. Mr. Speaker, the next thing that I want to talk about is the government decision to construct an expressway of 198.7 kilometers of Accra Kumasi. I have no problem with it. But Mr. Speaker, the question is, how is the government going to fund it? In the budget, there is no allocation as to how the government is going to fund this project. The big push, that is why I'm saying that I have it here. All the project they want to spend within the next 4 years, they want to do is here, it's captured here, signed. Authorization certificate has been given that they cannot go outside this remit. It's here. I cannot find the Kumasi, the new expressway in it. Mr. Speaker, so the question is, it's good if government is looking for any other alternative to construct the expressway. But we must give priority already, Mr. Speaker. The Accra to Kumasi road, we hear stories about it. It has become danger. The previous government has invested so much in constructing the bypasses, the 8 of them. Yes, the entire stretch from Accra to Kumasi is about 249.1 kilometers. Out of this stretch, Mr. Speaker, if you put the bypasses that we have done, and the one that they have already done, the dual carriage from Nsawam to Apeja Junction, and currently the one they are doing from Ofanko to Nsawam, if you put them together, we have already done about 155 kilometers of this road. What it is remaining is just about 94 kilometers. So as a prudent government, if you want to invest, will you go and look for a new funding to start a new project, or you will look for just money to complete the 94 kilometers which is left, to dualize it, to make the road motorable and safe for people who are driving on it? Mr. Speaker, this will cost the government less than even going to invest over $1 billion in constructing the expressway. It's good if government want to look for a PPP to develop it, but government should look for money to complete an investment. This is a huge investment the previous government has sunk in. It's the Ghanaian taxpayers' money. So why are we leaving that one or just delaying the project? When we could have invested this money, half of the money that we want to use to start a new project, we could have invested in it to complete this project. Mr. Speaker, it is not going to cost us even more than $500 million to complete this project. But it is going to cost us in excess of $1 billion if we want to do the 198.7 expressway. Maybe in the future, when we are able to solve this problem, the existing one, we have completed the bypasses, we'll be able to look for funding and do it. And I'll be happy because the project, the expressway, at least when it is done, it will go through Achimoda. I'll drive on it. But now, the most economic route in this country is the Accra Kumasi Road. It connects almost about more than 11 regions. So if the previous administration have taken a bold step, yes, it is true that there have been some variation to the contract because the scope of work have increased. It is far more better to fund the fund to complete that project than to start a new one. When this project, even in the budget, government is telling us that it is going to take almost 4 years before you complete it. When the bypasses will not take more than 9 months to complete it, why are we doing this to ourselves as a people, as a country? So, Mr. Speaker, you see, the government may have nice policies, they want to do it, but we should not be reduced to just a mere rehash of manifesto promises. But there should be a commitment. Mr. Speaker, let me move to even the railway sector. In 2025, a zero allocation was made into the railway center. A sector that the previous government invested hugely, not less than $1.2 billion in various projects, ongoing projects. And zero allocation was made in 2025. The sad part is that even in 2026 that the government says is committed in investing in the railway sector, it's just budgeted just 73 million. What is, do you know a kilometer of a railway track? The cost of a kilometer of a railway line, Mr. Speaker, we are talking about $5.5 million. So the 73 million that is allocating, what is it going to do? It means government is not committed in developing the railway sector. But when you come in the budget, they say, oh, we want to develop the railway sector. You cannot develop the railway sector by just rehashing your manifesto promises in the budget. The real commitment will show in the allocations, the various allocations that you are giving to. Now, Mr. Speaker, like I stated earlier on that I don't want to bother members too much with my comment. I am about to conclude. But before I conclude, various speakers on this side have made mention of government decision to procure 4 jets, 2 aircraft, and 1 ship. The ship is warship.
I thought you said you would speak for 5 minutes.
Yes, I'm within the 5 minutes, Mr. Speaker. I'll end very soon. Mr. Speaker, I don't have any problem if the government want to retool our security agencies, our army. I have no problem with it. But Mr. Speaker, there is a way that we can prioritize and do it. If you want to buy 4, you can decide to say, let's buy 1 or 2 and use the remaining money to also fix other urgent programs. Mr. Speaker, look at the nurses and the teacher trainees who are home. Mr. Speaker, this money, even this year's allocation in the budget, the 2.6 billion, if government decide that you want to just acquire only 2 of the jets and use the remaining money, they can employ almost about 60,000 nurses to work and pay them fully. They can employ, if government says that I want to just procure 2 of the jets, and wait and procure the remaining next time, and use the remaining amount to recruit the nurses and the teachers at home, they can recruit 60,000 trained teachers and nurses who are home. This shows a misplaced priority by the government. They are just interested in acquiring those aircraft and the planes for their own comfort. Mr. Speaker, I want to end here. But before I end, I want to send a word of caution to them. We have been in government before, and we knew how things became at a point in time. They shouldn't be so much comfortable with where they are now. We have been there before. They have to be very careful. The Ghanaian people one day, now that they say they will think that they have the goodwill with the Ghanaian people, the real test of this government will start showing in 2026. That time, they will say that we did not tell them.
Conclude in less than 1 minute. Your 15 minutes will be over.
Mr. Speaker, I want to end here. I don't want to add more to it. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, for a technical challenge reason, we may have to take 10 minutes break. So, yeah, it's not my fault, but it's a technical challenge. So we'll come back after 10 minutes for that technical issue to be resolved. So the House is temporarily suspended for 10 minutes.
you.